Hey everybody, welcome to an absolutely huge episode of Invisible Walls. Number-wise, it's 224, but it's probably going to be known as the Wii U episode going forward because for once on this show, we're actually talking about breaking news the day that it happened. In fact, just a couple hours ago, Nintendo finished its North American press conference announcing the release date and the price for the Wii U. And we have a great crew here to talk about everything, launch lineup, price, some of the new features they showed today. Ryan Stevens is here to do it.
Howdy.
Mike Damiani.
What's up?
And of course, the annoyed gamer, Marcus Beer.
Hello. Sorry, because I actually took time out from playing Borderlands 2 last night to stop down tools and pay attention to the Japanese announcement because I hate Japanese games and Japanese companies.
It's the strong yen, right?
Yeah, I know. I just
pisses
did.
you
Yeah,
off.
so I just sat there and got just because I don't give a shit about games.
Yeah, so last night in Japan, in the middle of the night, they actually had a press event first that just announced sort of the release date and the price in Japan. December 8th in Japan, November 18th here in the U.S. Okay. Fanboys started freaking out last night because the prices in Japan, if you convert the yen to the dollar, were outrageous.
Yeah.
I think, I knew immediately there's no way they're going to price it in the U.S. at that price. They're probably going to have to take a loss with the conversion rate in the U.S. And as it turns out, that is completely true. Two versions of the Wii U coming to the U.S., a white one and a black one.
Ebony and ivory.
Right. Now, the white one has 8 gigs of storage and does not come with Nintendo Land as a pack-in. The black one, which is probably the one that I'm going to buy, is 32 gigs of storage space, comes with Nintendo Land, comes with a stand to stand up your gamepad on your coffee table. Both versions come with an HDMI cable.
Thank God.
Which
Finally.
seems stupid to praise, but based upon prior consoles that had HDMI out.
We were talking about this, and I guess it was only the Xbox Elite has ever shipped with one.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the Slims do.
They always come with like composite cables, not even component cables.
Yeah, not even HD cables.
Yeah.
So, first of all, before we start talking about...
Real quick, though, does the Japanese one ship with AC adapters?
Yes.
Yeah, they actually...
good.
Well, it's funny, they actually included
Nintendo.
that in their
Yeah.
rundown in the Japanese presentation. So let's start off talking about the 2 SKUs and the price. Release date kind of irrelevant, right around when we thought. I think, Ubisoft had kind of said end of October, a couple weeks later, November 18th. So Ryan, what are your initial impressions of the price of the 2 different SKUs?
Well, I was watching this live, and I will be completely honest. Just as a guy watching Newsbreak, I was like, oh man, that's kind of pricey. With a little, waiting a minute or so. It's like, I know we talked about this earlier, but it is a console and it is a tablet. So
Right.
it's a lot of stuff. I think my initial kind of shock was more with not shock, just like a little disappointment was, I think everyone was really surprised back in 2006 with the original Wii's price.
Yeah.
And I think, obviously the Vita, you have to buy all the memory cards and stuff, but I thought everyone felt like the Vita came in at a pretty reasonable price as well.
Way under our expectations.
But I think this is completely reasonable with the exception of 8 gigs is not going to be enough for any even semi-serious user. If it's the same attachment rate where it's the people that buy the Wii U only buy like 2 games ever, maybe that'll be okay, but as we go to a more app-focused thing, as we even saw with the TVEE or whatever.
TV.
The 8 gigs just seems really on the low end. 32 is still also kind of on the small side.
yeah.
But I guess that means they're going to be, it's not going to be a hard drive, right? It's flash memory, so that's a little more reliable as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
quicker.
That's cool. I don't think 32 is a travesty. I think 8 is pretty bad. But for $50, I'm still kind of out there on Nintendo Land. For some reason, I guess it means it's shipping on a disc. For some reason,
Yeah, you'll be able to buy it separately. In fact, it's already on sale at GameStop.
For some reason, I really had an idea that it was going to be just like integrated,
Pre-installed.
Like installed on the hard drive.
like it'd be like a channel.
Almost like the 3DS pre-installed software, I thought.
Right.
Yeah, like
but if you
Face
think about
Raiders or
it,
something.
and Ryan and I were talking about this earlier, if that game is installed on the hard drive, you can't really even install it on the 8 gig version. It would pretty much take up almost the whole hard drive.
Yeah, if it's that big, but
If it's 8 gigs and a game's probably, that game's probably, a couple gigs, something like that.
The one thing to point out, though, is the memory sizes are really low for a console, especially right about now.
But they're irrelevant, right?
But they're letting you use whatever the hell you want for a storage solution. So buy that 2 terabyte hard drive and you hook it up and you're set. So at least you're not forced to use proprietary like hard drives and stuff like Microsoft.
But there is like a convenience factor.
I mean,
Right. What's
for
the max SD card size that they allow? Is it 32 gigs?
I think
Have they even announced that yet?
There's
Six,
that
I
can
thought
be
it
an
was
issue.
64, but it might be
64?
That can be an
higher
issue with
now.
support though, because I know sometimes the really
Some
big cards don't
some
get
of their
supported
SD
without a
cards, the
firmware
SDHC things
update.
have issues depending on the size.
I agree with you. I think people are overreacting to the hard drive size because, like you said, you can get a huge SD card, plug it in, or you can get an external hard drive of a couple terabytes if you want. And truth be told, external hard drives right now are dirt cheap. Like you can get 500 gigs for like $50. My problem is I don't want that external hard drive sitting next to my console in the entertainment center. Now, granted, I think half a terabyte now they're like that big and like that thick. Still, it's not something I want sitting in my entertainment center. The flexibility you get with it, though, probably makes it worth it, but I'm not a fan of that.
I'll be curious to see if they do what Microsoft does now with the Xbox. If you do plug in a USB device, you have to format it to be like a Wii U proprietary.
So it's like basically
not
chained
NTFS
to
or
your
something.
machine and can't use
so
it for
you
other
can't
things.
store anything else on it. That'll be interesting.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's also, this is the kind of thing that, right now there's a bunch of hackers in Taiwan that are like, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Because
You're
this
giving
is,
us a
this
gateway.
Is the gateway to piracy
Yeah.
right there.
So let's talk about price. Now, Ryan, you kind of already shared my opinion, which is people are forgetting. They're just looking at the price and they're saying that much for a console. Well, if it was just, and they're saying that much for a console that's underpowered. And if it was just the console with a traditional controller, I would agree that's overpriced. But you're getting a tablet with the hardware in addition to...
A tethered tablet, though.
What do you mean by tethered?
It's not really useful outside the house.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But it's also not as expensive as like an iPad, or I don't even know how much any of the other, like the
shitty
Samsung
Androids.
whatever. Yeah, I don't know how much those are. But basically, it looks like you're going to be able to buy an extra gamepad for the Wii U for about $125 to $150.
So that's your guess for the controller?
Well, I mean, it's $150 or $175 in Japan. So
Okay.
going with the way they've brought the prices back in the U.S. for the other stuff, I'm assuming $125, $150. You're looking at a $300, $350 console. You're not really paying that much for the actual hardware itself, the console itself. So it's kind of a different beast here, and kind of comparing it to what you've got before for what you paid is kind of apples to oranges, I think. Marcus, you've been really quiet so far. What's your perspective on this?
I've been saving up my excitement. No, all right. So let me go through a couple of things. First of all, the flash storage. I think it's a smart move that they let you get your own hard drives. I also think that at some point Nintendo will announce a cloud saving system, and I think that especially as their the deluxe system comes with a 2-year subscription to Nintendo Discount Warehouse Store where you get 10%.
Was that confirmed for North America, though?
It is, yeah.
Okay, good. I'll probably get that.
So if you buy digital games,
Yeah.
you get a 10% discount on those games, and then some kind of incentive program that builds up a value in your account
I
that
think
lets you
it's
buy
like
other
the
games.
3DS coin system, where you can spend it on, I guess, some type of content.
Virtual
We'll find
goods.
out, yeah.
But I mean, if Nintendo are smart, they're going to say, all right, well, you know what, we're going to go cloud on this, and we're going to give you this option. And
Probably would have been smart to announce that today, I would say.
I think
Well,
it would have
yeah,
been
their
smart
online
to
was-
announce several things
Yeah.
today, Shane, but Nintendo, they march to the beat of their own drum.
They do.
So storage, yes, I think, no problem with non-proprietary. Smart move, great, not pulling the Microsoft Sony route. The price was about where I thought it would be.
Well, that's the funny thing, too, is that, we've kind of been tossing around $299, maybe a little over for the last 8 months, and now that people actually announce that that's the price, a lot of people are like, what? That's so expensive, but that's what people have been saying it was going to cost the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, my bets were on $350 to $399, given the amount of money it costs to make that tablet.
Right.
The deluxe version obviously is the best value.
Is anyone here interested in buying that 8 gig version? First of all, it's white. I want the black one. I think it's crappy that you have to buy the bigger one to get the black console. That's kind of garbage.
Honestly, I mean, if the 8 gig model was black, I would honestly buy that one
because
I'm gonna get my own storage. I'm not gonna pay $50
For
essentially
an extra 24
for, yeah, 24
Have they
gigabytes, and then Nintendo Land, which
Have they said how much that's
on the
going to
probably
fence.
not
cost?
going to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nintendo Land's
get a
like
stand.
week 1, and then you put it down forever.
I think, and Shane and I had a brief discussion before the show started that I think they're being very savvy in doing these 2 different versions. My personal view is that perhaps they won't release as many of the deluxe versions because they do stand to make a shitload more money off that $299 unit, even though it is cheaper, doesn't come with a game. Doesn't come with a stand because everyone's going to want the stand. I don't want to put my little white thingy on the. I'm going to want to buy the.
I guess I didn't really get a
stand
look at the stand. I just.
It actually looks like almost like a charging cradle too.
Yeah,
I haven't been able to see it firsthand, so I don't know. But it looks like there's kind of little hooks in there that'll actually charge it somehow.
I mean,
Okay.
the one
Something
thing
like
we have
that,
to
yeah.
remember is there is
that the
no
USB adapter
company
then?
on this planet other than
couldn't see a
Apple
cord.
when it comes to tech who knows how to make money off people. And Nintendo know how to do it. So I think we will see a proliferation of the basic units where you have to buy the extra game, you have to buy the cradle. I mean, I understand there's no Wiimotes or nunchucks in either unit. It's just the
Right.
tablet.
Yeah, you have to buy
So
separately.
if for some reason you haven't bought a Wii, original Wii, you have to go and buy those, or the cool controller. I hope it works with the classic game controller.
It does, yeah.
Okay, because that's cool. I think the TV feature is again eminently cool.
Yeah.
I want to see it sitting in front of me. And again, we discussed is it going to work with all DVRs or is it just going to work with TiVo?
And it needs to work with like DirecTV and Time Warner Cable. Like you can't just select like these sort of small providers and say, oh, we've got it now. That's not the mass market. Like it
they
needs to
could
work
always-
with Comcast.
They could always add
Sure.
people. I mean, they have most of the digital, the big digital ones are pretty much all on board.
Yeah, it's like Hulu,
Hulu,
Amazon,
Amazon, and
YouTube,
Netflix.
Netflix.
Yeah, so all the big ones are on at this point. Can I talk about the definition of launch window?
Yeah.
I hate that
Holy
term.
crap.
That's starting to get a little blurry.
Okay,
isn't
I
it?
just-
I am defining it now. Launch window is 6 weeks. So March, no.
Can I just
That's
say,
ridiculous.
if I washed Windows for a living, I wouldn't want to wash Nintendo's launch window.
Well, that's
Well,
4 months. A
when-
4-month launch window.
When did Sound Shapes come out?
Yeah.
It's
and
a pretty
look,
stupid
Nintendo,
term.
Yeah, Nintendo are not the only ones. I mean, obviously they pulled the same shenanigans. I think
Yeah.
with the 3DS, Sony did the same thing with the
Vita.
Vita.
But what are your launch games? I mean, is
We
it
don't
just
know yet.
Mario?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Super
like we're not gonna.
Mario.
Oh, it's not close enough to talk about
I mean,
that.
I jotted down
Thanks,
a list of stuff
Reggie.
that I think is probably going to be there on day one. New Super Mario Brothers 2,
They said that one.
Black Ops 2, Assassin's Creed 3, Nintendo Land, Darksiders 2. And these are only games where I feel like there's still value in them. Like I'm not including Batman in this list because it's been out for so long. Darksiders pretty close to the release on the other systems. Tekken Tag Tournament 2, Epic Mickey 2, Zombie U, Rayman Legends, Scribblenauts, Skylanders, Just Dance 4, Game & Wario, Tank, Lego City, The Wonderful 101, and Marvel Avengers. Those are games that I think are probably going to be there on day one.
Is Lego really, you think, going to be day one?
I think
they're,
so,
They're
yeah.
pushing it really hard. Like, I thought it was kind of a fluke at E3. Not a fluke, but I was like, okay. But now it took a good chunk of the press conference this
Yeah.
time.
They showed it extensively at E3. I mean,
It's
They said it's
interesting.
a launch window game.
I mean, I don't
Ironically,
want them
Or
to.
launch
the
day,
window.
launch day. Sorry,
The Lego
it is a
game
launch day.
the Lego
I
game's the
don't-
one that interests me.
Well, that's the thing. I don't want them to push their they tried to do this before with Wii Music. Like Wii Music is awesome, and you don't want to drink the Kool-Aid all the time. But
ever. You never drink the Kool-Aid. Ever.
But it's interesting to see what they are pushing and maybe at least give it a second look. Because I'll be honest, like I haven't been excited about a Lego game since like the second Star Wars trilogy.
Yeah.
It's this wash, rinse, repeat. Like Daniel was just playing the Batman one. I giggled at a couple things, but I didn't really want to
Well,
play
it's
it.
just the same. It's
I'm
just
like, are
a
there
new-
golden bricks?
It's a Reeve
Yeah.
skin. Yeah, I mean, it's the same.
This is a little interesting though.
Well, it's an open world GTA
Yeah.
type game in the Lego universe.
So
It's-
I'm curious.
Well, Nintendo, one thing I'll say is being pretty smart with the games that they've announced so far because it does really run the gamut. I mean, you have something like Lego City, which is for younger to moderate players. There's a bunch of M-rated games. They have sports games ready to go.
They're stacking up on the Western developers for launch. Which
I mean,
is,
the one
again,
thing
a
they're
smart
missing
move.
right now is a racing game. I don't think there's a single racing game for the system yet.
Well,
Tekken-
Bayonetta may have
Project-
motorcycles again.
Well, I mean, that was the other.
one
That was the
racing game.
big surprise.
Well,
and,
Black
you
Ops
know,
2 is a big surprise. But not to you, because I
No,
told you
no.
about it forever ago. But
Well, yeah, exactly. That's why it didn't really register with me when I looked at it this
I wasn't
morning.
that surprised.
But I mean,
you didn't tell me.
I think
Yeah.
Bayonetta though is
you weren't surprised.
No.
Well, that's because in the last 6 weeks, rumors have been flying around about it.
Well, it's also
but I knew
they,
about
they
it
did a good
6 months ago.
The Wii ports for for Modern Warfare and Black Ops in the past have been good. I mean, they're not the
for
same
what
game.
the system was able
Yeah,
to
yeah,
do.
and
yeah.
I don't think Activision. I mean, I think everyone Skylanders is obvious.
Yeah.
I don't think Activision was going to leave that money on the table.
I knew about it 6 months ago. When they told me about it, I was like, damn, that's a big deal. And I mean, if you think about it, is there any bigger deal than
Is it
that
gonna-
game being available?
Well, I think in the
Well, the-
West probably not, but I mean, let's
You
talk
play with your
about
buddies, and you
Bayonetta
play with your
2.
buddies on
Yeah.
the 360, right?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's still the hard sell.
Right, but you got to think about what's the game that's going to sell in the next 2 months more than any other. No matter what, it's going to be Black Ops 2. So now when people look at a Wii U, they don't have to say, oh, well, the biggest game coming out this year, I can't play it on that system, so I'm not going to buy it. It's a big deal.
No, okay.
You'll get
And
a
also
lot
the
of-
split screen is
It's
pretty
cool.
cool.
It's cool, but I mean,
You
again,
can play
wasn't-
split screen, one person on the gamepad, one person using the TV. That's pretty sweet tech.
It's also going to be it's a smart move for Nintendo because yes, it does bring the biggest franchise in the world to their system, day and date.
Well, not day and date. It'll
uh,
be like a week later, but
but a day and date with everybody else.
right.
So I mean, if somebody is, say, oh, my Xbox is on the fritz, and I want to go and buy a Wii U, am I going to go and buy it with Call of Duty on the Wii U or the 360? Yeah, I play with my friends, but how many other people are going to go and perhaps buy again that basic unit with Call of Duty instead of playing for Nintendo Land, and
I'm sure
all
they'll do
these other
bundles with it too,
permutations.
and-
That's why I think that
Oh,
that
God,
white
bundles.
unit will sell.
Oh yeah, we haven't said the word bundle yet.
Oh god, yeah, we haven't
know
seen
they're
any-
coming.
Yeah, I haven't seen any bundles
Oh.
go up as of yet. But
Funky
all right,
Farm.
I've been harping on about this, and I know Mike wants to talk about it.
Bayonetta
Bayonetta
2, big deal, but is it that big a deal? I think it's a big deal to like the core, to the most people who are looking at the Wii U today. I don't think it's that big.
To be fair, I'm sorry, Mike. I'll just jump in. To be fair, one of the things I have criticized Nintendo over is not having the core games,
Yeah.
which they've been very remiss of in the past. And so the fact they've gone and signed this as a Wii U exclusive from Sega, and there is a very, very
Because Sega didn't want to
vociferous-
make it, by the way.
Well, maybe they couldn't afford to make it. But I mean, there's a very vociferous, hardcore fan base for Bayonetta who love the game. I'm not one of them, but I can respect the fact that they really love it.
Yeah.
And this caters to them. So I mean, this is good that there is something unique, hardcore, and again, catering to that particular niche on the on the Wii U.
Would have rather had Vanquish too.
I'd agree with that. Well, Mike, finally, your chance to speak here.
I agree with what you said there. I think it sends the right message. Even though that's not going to sell the system, it shows that Nintendo is willing to do what it's going to take to appease all the audiences on there.
Remember
And
the Capcom 5 on the GameCube?
Yeah.
I mean,
That
that
Icarus
didn't
game
help.
never came out.
But I mean,
Dead Phoenix?
But Resident Evil
Phoenix.
4.
Which still looks awesome, by
I
the
mean,
way.
Resident Evil 4 being the exclusive at that time helped bump those sales. I mean, it's about perception. I think the biggest hurdle they had to overcome was, is this system... A lot of companies weren't saying their games were going to be on Wii U, like Resident Evil 6, is that going to be on Wii U? Borderlands 2. A lot of those core games that are coming out this fall weren't going to be on Wii U, and I think people
They're
are-
still not,
They're,
though.
and they're still not, so people were worrying.
It's a lot of core games from last year.
Yeah, but
Not on
people
Wii
were
U.
worrying, like, is this gonna be like the same deal before as Wii, where we're not gonna get those experiences I can get on 360 or PS3,
Or PC.
and doing something like this, not only just getting Bayonetta 2, but like we're gonna publish it, we're gonna like fund it. Who knows what they're gonna do next? If they can do that with Bayonetta, what other? And it's the exclusivity.
They have
I
enough
mean,
money to do whatever
yeah,
the hell they
they have
want.
that war
I mean,
chest.
they could go buy studios if they want to. Instead, they choose to do this kind of piecemeal thing where they're like, oh, we'll put a little money down on this game. I don't think Bayonetta 2 moves the needle all that much, in all honesty.
It will.
I think
They're
because-
going to sell 10,000 extra units, which isn't a lot,
Right.
but there's enough of a base that's going to be
The
like,
Wii-
I have
look,
to own
I
this
let's
think
game.
it'll
be
do
honest
very
here.
well, obviously very well in Japan, and it will, like I said, appease a very, very hardcore section of the fan base. And it does position the Wii U as a genuine gaming console, because let's face it, the Wii devolved into a joke.
But when it launched, I mean, I have its launch lineup right here. I mean, it had the Wii launch with Call of Duty, Elebits, Excite Truck, Zelda, Madden, Need for Speed,
Avatar: The Last
Red
Airbender.
Steel, Super Monkey Ball, Trauma Center. I mean, this isn't even all of them. WarioWare, Wii Sports. I mean, that lineup looked like it was serving that audience pretty well.
Again, we gotta have some sort of, I suppose, and this is bizarre coming from me, but some sort of optimism. I mean, I'm
optimistic.
I want
I'm not
Nintendo to come
pessimistic
back,
at
and I
all.
want Nintendo to give me a fucking awesome gaming experience. I mean, when I spend more time on my Super Nintendo than I do on my Wii or my 3DS, that's a problem.
Well, I don't know why you would do that, but
Super Star Wars.
Maybe over the Wii,
Awesome.
but not the 3DS.
Well,
But
but Mike's really happy because with Bayonetta, being with Nintendo, she's obviously going to be in the new Smash Brothers.
That's right. They can put her
Yeah.
in Smash Brothers 4 now. So.
well, they can put whoever the hell they
the
want in
roster.
Smash Brothers. I mean,
Well, I mean, it's pretty much guaranteed.
Well, now that
Yeah.
Sony is like
Yeah.
basically a mad scientist just throwing whoever the fuck they
Yeah.
want into
Yeah.
their games.
You're right. But
That'd
I
be
was
a
wondering
horrible
one
fit.
thing. We were talking about earlier about Call of Duty 2, like the innovation, or not the innovation, but the features that they're doing with the Wii. And you were saying like that they're going to see it's on the Wii U, so it's a reason to buy. The one thing they didn't really talk about that I was kind of hoping they'd reveal more is the online.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what features Call of Duty has if the online's not going to be great. So they haven't really fully revealed what their online infrastructure is going to work like.
and when are they?
And
It's like
I mean, they-
releasing in like
they've said
They've
it
2
hinted
months.
about it. I mean, with the giving the codes and stuff. Remember the generic action figure
I
guy?
mean, I saw
But yeah,
that.
the hard details are not there.
Now, for example, if they come with Call of Duty that says you can play 2 players on one machine and go online with those 2 players.
Well, you can do that already on the 360 and PS3.
Oh, the split screen.
It'll split it,
But
and
I
then you
mean,
can go online and
on
play
the
against
bit,
other
you know, it's
people.
like I have my screen here,
Right,
you
right.
have the big screen.
Doing
I
it
don't-
with-
That's
well,
great. I
yeah.
can't believe
Split
none of us
screen for
thought
me is
about
like,
that
oh.
functionality on our own, like knowing the Wii U that you could do something like that. That's to me that's really cool, and I think people underestimate how many people still like to sit and play games together on the same couch. A lot of people, have the older brother and the younger brother, or the dad and the son. I think there's a lot more of a demand for local multiplayer than a lot of people give it credit for. So, pretty impressed with that. Anything else worth talking about at this point? I think the game prices, they're $59.99. We can thank Microsoft and Sony for that.
Okay,
Some
well-
of them are a little cheaper. I saw a couple of the game, like Tank was like $49.99.
Sonic and All Stars Racing is only like $39.99, but that's on every system. too,
Right.
so.
So they're scaling the game prices a little bit, but it looks like their AAA stuff, $60.
I will say, since it is so close now and we still don't know about the online, I don't think I'm really going out on a limb here, but I don't think there's going to be a premium cost at this point.
Yeah.
I mean,
think
a
it's
cost
gonna-
for the network.
I think
To
it's going to
pay
be
to play,
free,
yeah.
but I don't think there's going to even be a paid version, at least at this initial point. No PSN Plus version, so to speak, or
Yeah.
Xbox Gold. I think it will be free.
People had that heart attack last night when they didn't understand the
Japanese,
and
yeah.
they saw the premium online and they were freaking out.
And instead, it was a rewards program.
Yeah,
It's
that
like,
was
oh,
kinda
you're going to make
funny.
me pay for internet now. And no, they're actually giving you 10% back on every game that you buy.
Yeah.
So let's go around the horn here. Are we going to, let's say, a buy or pass Marcus?
I really don't know.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why, because no matter what Nintendo have done for me in the past, they have done such a lousy job this time around communicating. They leave so many questions unanswered. I should be all over this. I should be wanting this. I should have plonked down my money this morning when it went up on GameStop and Amazon or whatever, if it even has. But there are so many unanswered questions that I'm literally caught between a rock and a hard place. I don't know. I really don't know anymore. If I want to, I'm curious to get that pad in my hands and play and experience something for 5-6 hours. I mean, maybe I will Assassin's Creed next week. Maybe
Right.
they will show the Wii U version. I'll come back evangelizing.
Well, I just got an email yesterday from Activision asking me to come and see Black Ops next week.
Oh.
But I mean,
So I'm sure I'm going to go see the Wii
but
U
this
version
is the
next
thing.
week.
It's Activision. It's Ubisoft. It's everybody else reaching out and trying to position this stuff. Nintendo, their hubris is so immense that they cannot communicate. I mean, they should have teams coming into every office right now saying, boom, here it is. Let's take you through. We can't leave it with you, but book a day out. We're coming in with 5 games. We're going to bring in 6 units. Everybody gets to play. Boom. But they're not. They're just like, you're going to buy it anyway because we're awesome. And unfortunately,
Well, they'll only send us 1 unit. For all of GT, we will get 1 Wii U.
Well,
It's always that way with every system that they release. We get 1.
Well, they've just eroded my trust with the Wii so much that I feel like almost like an abused spouse.
Yeah.
Where it's like I've taken 1 slap too many, and I'm hoping they're going to change.
You're about to go to the cops.
But I mean, especially as I've spent so much time on my PC over the last couple of weeks playing games. I want Nintendo to deliver. Ask me in fucking 8 weeks when more info comes out. Because honestly, ask me in December.
8 weeks it comes out.
Yeah, ask me in December. I really don't know. I am
Damiani.
torn.
I can't lie. I mean, I already pre-ordered it this morning, so buy.
Good
But
man.
it's for Bayonetta 2. I want to play that game. It's only going to be on Wii U. the Monster Hunter announcement that's going to be out by March.
Yeah,
So
we didn't mention that. That is huge.
that
by the
is,
way.
and it's in the
in
West
Japan,
everywhere.
That is
everywhere it's coming
huge.
out. And then Epic Mickey 2 is moved to Wii U now, so and that's going to be out this holiday. So I have a reason to like get on board. So done.
Ryan.
Definitely a buy, but still a little worried for the long run. I think the third-party support seems a little. I mean, it's good. A lot of points to Ubisoft with like Assassin's Creed, like a new game, and points to Activision with Black Ops. But like EA seems like they're really holding back.
I think the third-party support in general
and-
is a little disconcerting to me, I have to admit.
Well, I mean, we're getting Darksiders too, but especially with this Black Ops announcement, and we want to talk about a game where people are playing split screen, Borderlands.
Yeah.
Why isn't Borderlands not on this launch lineup? I mean,
there's a lot of games like
third-
that are conspicuously missing.
And the first party stuff, it's cool that Nintendo. It looks like Nintendo's actually publishing the Ninja Gaiden port also.
And Lego City.
And New Super Mario Brothers is going to be fun, or New Super Mario Brothers U is going to be fun, but still a little. I guess Pikmin's launching. I heard in March in Japan.
That-
so
It's not a launch day game.
Yeah, so
That
I'm
really,
bummed about
really
that.
sucks.
yeah, it does. That's the one I really wanted.
Yeah.
But it's Nintendo. It's like if you want to play Nintendo games, you need Nintendo systems, and maybe that's not as big of a deal as it used to be. But like when that 3D Mario comes around, or that next Zelda, or a real Metroid game, you know where you're gonna have to go to play it.
Yeah.
The 3DS.
Can I throw out one question? I mean, I looked through the list briefly this morning, the announcement, the launch window stuff. I didn't see anything by Square Enix.
Nope.
Oh, didn't they announce a Mistwalker game though in Japan or something like that?
I don't think that's their game, though, is it?
No, I know, but it kind of caters to that audience though.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But I
Yeah,
think
they
that-
haven't officially said anything. Like,
Yeah, I don't think they're publishing that. I don't think they've said anything about the Wii U yet as far as what they're doing with it.
And I think that's interesting because I mean, obviously, my first experience of everything Square Enix was Super Nintendo and Game Boy, and to they obviously then found home on the PlayStation, but for them not to be, perhaps in and supporting this is
Maybe they'll remake Crystal Chronicle Bearers.
Crystal Chronicle, Crystal Meth Care Bears.
Miasma.
All right, well, as for me, I'm like Eric B. and Rakim. I am paid in full. I went and pre-ordered today, paid for my system off.
Can we zoom in on that? And
No,
we
you
can
cannot.
Yeah, the credit card number.
Shane's credit card.
The danger of HD.
Yeah, you know what? He's actually saying he's paid in full. That's just his liquor tab for after the show.
Yeah, actually, I went to the GameStop at the mall by my place today, and it was funny. The guy working there said that when he got to work, there were 15 people standing outside his store, and he had no idea why. He's like, it's Thursday. He's like, why are these people here?
But again, that's my point. Nintendo has done a shitty job of communicating this.
Yeah, well, he said he went in and the phone was ringing. It was his district manager. And he picks up the phone and district manager is like, Wii U, 2 SKUs, in the system. Is anybody there? And he's like, yeah, there are like 15 dudes standing outside. And he's like, well, I was actually going to hope that you'd sell 10 today. He's like, but now I'm going to push it to like, I hope you sell 30. So I went in and he said I was like the 18th person to come in and pre-order it. And that was all just based upon that little Nintendo Direct stream. So they're not going to have any problem selling out this system. It is going to sell out. It is going to be another
totally the
debacle.
it item.
It's going to be another eBay double the value debacle that we've seen with pretty much every system over the last like 10 years. I mean, if you guys want it or you're sitting on the fence, I would go pre-order it.
So
because if the pre-orders are going to be snatched up. He also said they only have a set number of pre-orders, and once they're gone, they're cutting it off, and they're not going to like do what they've done in the past, which is over pre-order it and have all these irate people being like, what do you mean? Like, I paid for this and I can't get it. So if you're even thinking about it, I would go buy it. Worst case scenario, if you don't want it, you'll be able to sell it on eBay and probably make double your money. So
November the 18th, everybody, Shane's house. We get to sit and watch him play. Oh, actually, we get to play with him. We all bring our Wiimotes round.
But I mean, overall, I would say the event, minus the lack of the network information, I think they did a pretty good job today. They surprised some folks definitely with Bayonetta too. I think they surprised everybody. I think they surprised a good number of people with Call of Duty, even though the rumors were kind of swirling around there a little bit. But overall, I think things are starting to look up a little bit for the Wii U. Can we all agree on that?
I'm certainly I am certainly more interested than I was 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Coming out of E3. I think there is some very cool stuff. I am just so. I mean, after going through again the 3DS debacle and the end of the the Wii life cycle, I'm afraid, and I hope they can turn it around. I hope that I can, Reggie, come to my house, bring a fucking Wii U, we'll drink, and you can show me, you can convince me. I want to believe I'm like fucking Fox Mulder. X-Files, look it up, young people.
Parappa. All right, before we move on, I do want to apologize. I am just getting over a cold. I've been sick for the last 5 days. That's why I'm sounding a little nasally today. But next, we are going to talk about Tekken Tag Tournament 2. Lots of tease there. Why have they waited so long to make a sequel to a PlayStation 2 launch game? And isn't it better than the proper Tekken series? Justin Spear, Patrick Morales here, by the way.
Hello.
Yo.
So, I guess it's kind of like another. It's another Tekken game, I mean, Tekken 6 maybe.
But it's not really just another Tekken game. I mean, the tag mechanics changed the gameplay pretty significantly.
That's true. I mean, yeah, tag had been around. I think a lot of fans enjoyed it at the time. I guess they were, busy developing the main series. But this really feels like, it's really like another game in the main series. Although it plays really differently, it doesn't really feel like a spin-off. It's just like, hey guys, here's some more Tekken,
Because it still has all like the goofy stuff in it, the crazy ending cinemas that don't make a whole lot of sense.
More than ever, I guess. It's a huge volume. Yeah.
And I think another thing, the perception of this game may be that it is kind of a quick and dirty spin-off offshoot, but that's really not the case. Like, it is a full-featured Tekken game. The modes may be a little light.
Yeah, I think when they were making the first game, they probably had no expectations on how big it would be. But eventually, as that game, took root in the fighting community and people got to find out just how deep it was with all the crazy tag mechanics and combos, then it started to kind of gain traction from there. But yeah, it's just like Justin said, like this is definitely kind of an offshoot of the main Tekken franchise. It has all the characters that you expect from Tekken, but it's
46 characters, is that right? 46?
Something like that.
Which is insane.
Yeah, I mean, there's some DLC characters that you could get early from pre-ordering, but they're coming out free later.
That are already on the disc, probably.
Yeah, they are, but you don't have to pay for them, which is way better than
like
give
6
it to
characters
us
now.
on the
Do I have
disc.
to wait for something that's on the
Well,
disc?
I'm sure that if they had their way, they would do that. It's just a business thing. We're like, oh, let's drive some pre-orders. But I mean, it seems like the dudes in charge of Tekken, their philosophy is basically, let's give everyone everything up front. We're not going to make you, play the game with 20 different characters to unlock 20 different characters, which then unlocks the last
5 extras. Yeah,
the last 6 characters. They just give you the characters. You can play whoever you want. You can just get into it. So yeah, I mean,
how many clones are in that 46 though?
A couple.
Just a couple. There's a few. It's not too cloney, but at the same time, even the clones will have a little something to differentiate them. And maybe if you you think one character is a stupid personality, I'd rather be a kangaroo rather than a dinosaur. I don't like scales.
And going back to the DLC characters, at least they're giving them away for free.
Right. Yeah, which hasn't been the case with some other franchises.
Yeah.
So when I was at PAX, they did a demonstration for me of kind of their take on Call of Duty Elite. It's this online interface where you can go in, you can look at all your stats. It's supposed to help you play, figuring out, when I fight against this guy's using this against me, so I need to counter that the next time I fight him. How did that ultimately play out? Because to me, it looked kind of like a throwaway.
Well, I hate to call it a throwaway, but yeah, I mean, this is something that's outside the game. You need to go to the website, you need to sign up, do whatever. I mean, it's cool.
It is instantaneous,
if you are super, super into the game.
But there's no lag between playing the game and your stats appearing there, though. Because we literally played a game and then went and refreshed a page, and my stats were there for the fight.
I mean, it's cool. I mean, people will appreciate it being free, right? Like, this is not, I can't see a lot of people that are so into it. They're like, yeah, I need my
What's
stats.
it called again? Fight Lab? Is that what it is? Or
no, Fight Lab is like a combat thing. It's called World Tekken Federation.
That's it, yeah.
WTF. WTF. Yeah.
So you agree with me? It's not all that useful. It's not going to help you get better at the game, really.
No, it's something for super.
There is, yeah.
Something for the most hardcore of hardcore players, and I think this game is kind of pitched at people who are into Tekken and people who know their stuff. If you come into this game fresh, I think even more so than previous games where you can pick one character, you mash some buttons, maybe you'll get lucky, catch guys with low hits. It's pretty tough to do in this one. The damage potential is huge. It's a hugely aggressive game. and the combos are just insane. The level between someone that knows what they're doing and a total newbie is just an incredible gap. You
Well,
will just get
watching you
totally
guys
rolled.
play, I mean, and I was playing with some of the guys who worked on the game or whatever at PAX. You can juggle somebody and then call in your tag while they're still up in the air and then continue the juggle with, like, the new character. That's something you didn't get in Tekken before.
Yeah, I mean, typically single characters can still do a lot to keep guys in the air, bouncing off the ground, continually pushing the guy over to the wall. And
Which
then
is Tekken.
beat
Tekken
him up
is a
some more.
juggle-heavy
Tekken is
fighter.
pretty much that. You're trying to maneuver and you get that one hit, you bound them off the ground or you launch them in the air, and then you just go crazy and your opponent just hopes that,
Yeah.
hopes that they can get out of it.
Yeah, and I think that's the main hook for all the hardcore Tekken players, why they like the Tekken Tag offshoot, because it's a very purposeful game. It's not like Tekken 3 where you can just mash buttons
Right.
and do some cool
Eddie
capoeira
Goro,
moves.
anyone?
Yeah. I mean, you have everything to gain by exploiting all the systems that the game kind of lays out in front of you, so it's definitely rewarding.
You kind of have to learn the game multiple times, though. You need to learn how to do huge damage output with your character. Then you have to learn, okay, what are the basic movement stuff in Tekken? Like if you just hold back or a regular sidestep every once in a while, the other people are going to be like,
Yeah. And
Like
then there
dancing
are
around you.
tag attacks as well, where two characters actually team up to.
yeah.
more
Well,
than
that
one,
part
yeah.
that's a pretty accessible part of the game. You can at least do tag combos by if you hold the button down, your partner will come in and automatically do a sequence. You don't have to manually input it yourself. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of depth to it. It's a serious investment if you want to get into it.
Now, what about the campaign and the story? Obviously, the bar was kind of raised with Mortal Kombat. At least it makes me look at fighting games a little differently. How does it work in Tekken Tag
They don't
tournaments?
really bite off that. It's, Soul Calibur 5, I guess, had kind of a story with some lightly animated scenes and stuff. They have arcade mode. You get an ending for your character. The CG ending, that's your motivation for playing through.
So you just
It's
fight through a
pretty-
ladder, get a CG ending.
Yeah, you fight through a ladder.
rinse
It's
and repeat.
it's like
the
the
combat
weirdly
lab
dressed up
kind of has a
opponents.
story, right?
Yeah, the fight lab is
Fight
kind
lab,
of
sorry.
the touching story of a robot, doing trials.
Now, are the cinemas and all that kind of stuff as funny and interesting as they've always been?
I think the personality of the game is still pretty much the same. It only gets weirder as they,
Good.
introduce.
Are there live-action Japanese children at any point?
I don't know. You'll have to, if you want to play through the King,
That's
get
part of
some
the
King
time
endings,
DLC.
some orphans. They might have CG orphans at this point.
Oh,
you know.
I'm upset.
Yeah.
Now, somebody who's been buying all the fighting games that you guys have recommended over the last, let's say, 12 months, is this game worth buying? Is it worth? Because you said it's pretty challenging to get good at.
I think
Is it worth diving into that deep end?
if you're interested in it, it's worth it. But you have to be ready. If you're not already way into Tekken, and even if you are, you'll be getting the matches to be like, who is this character exactly I'm fighting?
I walk by and I
how the hell do I
recognize some
block
of the
this
guys.
thing?
I'm like, who the hell is that?
Well, the roster is so huge that when you fight, you're fighting characters. You're like, wait, am I gonna block this move? Is this Is this
well, the,
high or
the
low?
custom costuming doesn't help either because
It can
they
it can actually make it a little
tough.
tougher if you're not
Yeah.
familiar with the characters. Like, who exactly is this character?
Right.
Where exactly is this move gonna
Why
hit?
is he
So
pulling
yeah,
out a gun?
there's custom costume items that give you some weird moves that you may not know about right off the bat. So yeah, there's
So should
there's a
people
lot
buy
there's
it?
a lot of good stuff to it. You have to be ready to kind of
Accept the challenge.
yeah, you have to steel yourself and say, okay, I'm going to spend some time training. I'm going to go online and look at forums. Otherwise, if you go online and you expect to just have some fun, you're probably just going to get matched up with people who will destroy you. Like a couple of mistakes and it's like you're done.
It's
and
over.
the matches are super quick. So, you can play with only one player if you want. If you don't want to get into the tag thing, if you already know a guy from previous Tekkens, you can kind of get in, do whatever. Obviously, if you have real life friends, you may not be subjected to the same level of insane styling on you that people will do online. But yeah,
So should people
it's-
buy it?
I think it's the best Tekken game in a long time. I think it's
That's-
way better
yeah,
than
it's good.
6.
And it's definitely a must if you're a Tekken fan because there are characters that haven't been in a game for like 10 years in there. It has the cleanest system so far, the best iteration of the fighting engine to date. But yeah, I think people
Yeah.
should dig it.
And
Any
it is-
platform preference here? Both versions run equally well.
We played mostly on PS3, but
We always
I would
play our
feel
fighting
like
games on PS3. Why is that?
Fight stick.
That's what
we
they
have more
the
sticks.
sticks that
we
we
have
have.
more sticks for PS3. Although,
And
me
also they
personally,
send
I
us
play
PS3 copies most of the time.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, it depends. Sometimes Yeah, I wouldn't generalize a Japanese games offense in PS3 instead, because typically we get way more 360, and people are like, why do you always review 360?
But fighting games almost always PlayStation 3.
Yeah, it's what we get. You know, that's the build they sent us.
Better D-pad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually prefer D-pad for Tekken though.
Really?
It's a lot of all the inputs are mostly digital. There's not a lot of quarter circle forward twice or anything like that, or 360 motion. So, but yeah, it's a cool game.
All right, so sometimes I feel like we don't get enough niche games on Invisible Walls. Obviously, a lot of that is driven by views. A lot of times if we cover a lot of those smaller, kind of obscure Japanese games, the show doesn't do as well. But this is one exception, because this is a game that caught my eye a long time ago, and we're finally about to release our review for Tokyo Jungle. Daniel Bloodworth is here to talk about it. He's been playing it for the last week. Don't have a ton of time, but we do want to kind of get to it. It is one of the more unique games I've seen in quite a while being played back here that isn't like some DLC game that costs $10. What's the story?
Well, it is actually.
It is $10.
I don't know.
I think
if
it's $15.
15,
actually.
but
Really?
But, that's considering the amount of time that Bloodworth put into it.
Yeah, a lot.
How many Pomeranians have you eaten?
I don't know. Quite a few.
So what's the story with the game? A lot of people maybe not even heard of it yet.
Yeah, it's a crazy little arcade title, and it's
PlayStation 3 only, right?
Yeah, it's by Sony, and the idea is that humanity has vanished, and now animals have taken over Tokyo. So you have a mix
Makes sense.
You have a mix of like little toy dogs, like Pomeranians, and then like retrievers and cats and things like that. And then you also have like the animals that got out of the zoo, and you even start seeing dinosaurs, and it's like, what in the world is going on? So you have a Pomeranian take down a gazelle, or you have
he's got to eat.
Now the game is just surviving, right? That's all that the game is about.
Yeah, it's an arcade style survival game. So the idea, like, when you pick your animal, and you start out with only 2 animals unlocked, and then there's like another 50 or so to go. You just have to like look for food and survive other animals, and there's all kinds of crazy rules in terms of breeding and like toxic pollution coming in, and
you
all of
want
this.
to attract a prime mate if possible. You don't want a low-level desperate mate.
Yeah, yeah. The map is always the same, but where the resources are change just constantly. So you're always on the run. And you could turn a corner and there'd be a bear there, and you start running, and then like, oh no, there's a tiger, and then oh no, there's something.
Well, you do basically, you have a set of objectives that you're focusing on these things. It's not total, just like go around and eat and try not to die.
You basically keep picking up water bottles and killing other animals to extend the time, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of different things that go on. You pick up items that give you little boosts. You can actually put on clothes to give you stat boosts. When you breed, your next generation gets, inherits stat boosts from your previous. And then you also pick up these like memory sticks around town that give you little hints to the story. And for every 3 memory sticks you pick up, then you unlock a story chapter. And then once you play through that story chapter, then more memory sticks appear in the survival mode. So eventually there is a progression and a build-up and a story that explains this whole nutty situation.
Now, do you play the same level over and over again?
Yeah.
Just with different animals?
Yeah, you're playing the same levels over and over again. And as he was saying, part of those challenges that are kind of randomized is like, it's telling you, go to this area or go to that area, or weird things will happen, like a giant chick in a power suit has appeared at Shibuya Station.
Do you mean a chick as in a baby chicken?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, a baby chicken.
That's why I was asking.
The size of a horse.
Is it good?
It is.
It's quirky, no doubt about that.
It's quirky, and it's always surprising, and it's really ridiculous the whole time through, so it's always entertaining, and just random stuff keeps happening. It has attracted a crowd of editors that want to buy this day one.
Right.
I will say it's kind of long in the tooth. If you want to unlock everything, you're probably better off like meeting the challenge to unlock something and then like committing suicide, because if you play the game naturally to unlock everything, it will last you 40 or 50 hours.
Wow.
I have one question. Can you crossbreed a Pomeranian with a dinosaur?
No, you can't even. That's a weird thing. You can't even crossbreed 2 different kinds of dogs.
Isn't a dinosaur wang bigger than a Pomeranian?
Well, I didn't.
Reptile wings versus mammal wings.
I didn't say who was who was on top.
But there are different classes of mates. So you have to eat enough and get healthy enough to get the prime mate.
Interesting.
Yeah. So essentially, if you get a good mate, you have a larger litter, and those are basically little extra lives following
Yeah.
around.
So
when
if you die, it goes to the
yeah,
next
if you just
person
get
out.
screwed by luck, the random circumstances, or you eat too much, you get in a pollution zone, and you die of toxicity. Then the next little
Little dude
dog
steps
in
up.
line steps up, and you're like, okay, let's keep this going. Get to the next generation.
And when
So-
you mate, you smell the other person's butt.
Yeah, there's not a
Pretty
humping animation,
accurate.
but there's a little bit.
They
of
do
romance
crawl up
in
there before it fades black. Yeah.
So for 15
Baseball.
bucks, for somebody who likes really unique, kind of quirky, different games, buy it.
Yeah, you'll laugh a lot, you'll panic and yell at the screen a lot. Yeah, it's a pretty fun game.
All right, so that's going to do it for the big Wii U launch episode of Invisible Walls, although I'm guessing on November 18th or thereabouts, we'll probably do another one to kind of go over all the games that have come out when we finally figure out what the actual launch games are.
No, you said we don't have to cover it anymore.
I never said that. Now, Justin and Bloodworth, since you guys just got here, we already asked this question to everybody else. Based upon the information that was released today, Bloodworth, are you buying the Wii U at launch?
Yeah, I am.
All right, Justin.
I think I'll probably wait, but I don't have any qualms about buying it later at the price. Buy the 350 pack if the good games are there. And
Are you guys buying the
50
350
launch
version?
games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I certainly would. I think.
I think that's unanimous across the board. Where everyone who's getting it is getting the 350 version. So that's going to do it for this week's show. Before we go, a couple things we want to mention. We will be at Tokyo Game Show starting next week. In fact, I'm going to Tokyo Game Show for the first time in forever. I'm really excited to go back to Japan. We will be there covering it like we cover every convention, 24/7 around-the-clock coverage. We won't be getting any sleep in Japan. That's quite all right. But make sure you tune in for that, because the coverage for here will be starting next Thursday night, I guess is the best way
I
to
think-
put it.
Yeah, that makes
Some
sense.
stuff will be coming out a little earlier. There are a couple events before the actual show starts that we're going to hit. So around Wednesday, Thursday-ish, TGS Media should start appearing on the site. Hopefully, the show is good. It has really kind of lost some stature over the last few years. We're hoping it'll rebound this year. And for those of you who did not watch the show last week, we do have a brand new iOS app for GameTrailers. Has all our reviews, all our original shows on it. The feedback we've got from it has been incredible. Its rating on the iTunes store is like 4.5 out of 5. Highly recommend it, especially for those of you who've had problems with your iOS devices with the new site. I think it works great. I've been using it on my little iPod Touch. I even went out on my deck and shut the door, and it was still streaming great. So, highly recommended. Looks like everybody else is liking it too. Please go and check it out. We would really appreciate it. I think you will like it. So, I don't think I'll be on the show next week. I'll be in Tokyo, but these guys will be holding it down.
Maybe you guys will do a ghetto hotel edition.
I don't know if we'll be doing that again, but maybe. We'll see. Regardless, when we come back the week after, we will be talking about TGS extensively and our adventures in Japan. So, as always, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next week. Invisible Walls is up and out.